this war on women is very much real. It's not something that is made up by the Democrats. If you look at the state of Mississippi specifically, the Republicans in the state have passed a law that would basically force the abortion providers to have hospital admitting rights, and they also have to be certified gynecologists. And if they are not, basically they do not have the ability to perform abortions. Right now in the state of Mississippi, there is literally one abortion clinic that has 3 doctors that will perform abortions. Those 3 doctors are actually from out of state. They come into Mississippi to perform the procedure and then they leave. Now this is a disaster because in the state of Mississippi, a lot of these hospitals will not grant abortion providers hospital admitting rights. So that's why
it sounds like, oh, well, how hard is that? You know, they're a doctor.
Right.
They'll just get these hospital admitting rights and then it'll be fine. But no, actually, surprisingly, this is one of those onerous regulations that Republicans in other policies rail against. Oh, onerous regulations that are preventing these businesses from conducting their business. Well, this is an onerous regulation that's directly preventing this business from conducting
they are
legally, constitutionally acceptable business.
Yeah, there are disgusting hypocrites in this case.
And Mississippi is the poorest state in the United States, and I think it has one of the, if not the highest, but one of the highest teen pregnancy rates.
Yes, it's 60% above the national average, okay? It has the highest teen pregnancy rate in the country. And part of the reason for that is because these women do not have access to abortions. That, as I said, one abortion clinic. They're surrounded by conservative states, so even if they drive out of the state to get an abortion, they have to deal with waiting periods, whether it's a 24-hour period or a 72-hour period in some cases. So a lot of these women don't have a choice. So if these teenagers get pregnant, they have the baby.
Well, and they don't have access to reproductive health care. You know, that if you're a teenager, first of all, they don't include, they have abstinence-only education, which doesn't even give kids the information that they need to make good reproductive health care choices. They're not getting it in their schools, they're not getting it from their parents. All they're getting is abstinence-only, which studies show time and again, without fail, those don't work. Abstinence programs alone do not work. The only thing that actually works to reduce teen pregnancy, the statistics, the evidence, it's there, it's incontrovertible, that is what lowers teen pregnancy rates.
I mean, there are numerous case studies that will give you a perfect example of what Desi is saying right now. When the Bush administration was in office, George Bush said, look, I am going to defund comprehensive sex education and focus on abstinence-only education. Well, what did we see in the country? We saw that teen pregnancies went through the roof.
They skyrocketed. They had been going down after comprehensive sex education had been installed by the Clinton administration, promoted by the Clinton administration, and now they skyrocketed back up. And now that full comprehensive sex education is starting to filter back into the schools, the teen pregnancy rate is going down in those states that have that, and in those states where teenagers, young women, basically everybody has access to reproductive health care.
You know, no one really likes to talk about the really dark side of this story, because let's say the lawmakers in Mississippi get what they want and they shut down the one and only abortion clinic in their state. Women who are in a terrible situation, cannot afford to have a child, and do not want to have a child, will take matters into their own hands. You know, I'm giving an example of a movie, right? But I think that this particular scene in Revolutionary Road spoke volumes.
Oh, it was sad.
Because the movie basically ends, and I'm sorry, this is a major spoiler, but the movie's been out for a while, so sorry. There is a scene, the very last one actually, where Kate Winslet does not want to have another child, and she performs her own abortion. Okay, and she dies as a result of that. And this is something that happened in this country. This isn't something that's made up in a movie. I think that it was reflective of a time in our country when abortion was inaccessible, and as a result, women would take matters into their own hands. That's what Mississippi is going for. They want to move back in time. Right. And they think that it was a better time, but it was not a better time. It was a time when women would take their own lives because they did not want to deliver these children.
Right, and you know, and one of the representatives, one of the state representatives in Mississippi, you know, you gotta love his name, Bubba. Bubba Carpenter. His idea was that, he acknowledges that women might have to return to the back alley and coat hanger abortions. And he said, quote, "We have literally stopped abortion in the state of Mississippi. The other side says like, oh, well, the poor pitiful women that can't afford to go out of state are just going to start doing them at home with a coat hanger." And he says, well, that's what we've heard over and over and over. But hey, you have to have moral values. So it's a moral value for these women to die than it is to actually provide them with proper health care and proper information and proper access in advance to let them make their own choices. It's better to let them die, is what he's basically saying.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bubba.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about Bubba's morality.
Right.
And
Well,
I don't want to take his idea of morality and use it for my own lifestyle and for my own decisions. Bubba can make his own decisions about his life. Christians, Catholics, the ultra-religious people, the fundamentalists in this country get to make their own decisions about what they do with their bodies. But you can't force other people to do things based on your religion, which is the number one thing in this country that drives me crazy. We were founded on a separation of church and state, and we have doofuses like Bubba telling us about morality, while women are dying because they don't have access to abortion.